Alright, so the Underground Labyrinth is here, the second season. I think technically the third season, but it's like the second season of the original one because we also had like a special Shield Hero themed Underground Labyrinth, which I'm pretty sure they don't count as a seasonal Underground Labyrinth, but it doesn't really matter. So in today's video, I'm going to show you like some general tips and tricks on how you can beat the Underground Labyrinth, as well as like my personal recommendations of like what units you should get, what passives you should go for, which path you should take, and stuff like that. We're also gonna talk about the bosses, and I'm gonna show you like the deeper parts of the Underground Labyrinth, which I was able to beat. And the timestamps for all of those will be down in the description, like you can check the timeline of the video for the different parts. But I actually recommend you watch the whole thing, at least the characters, passives, and pathing, because those sort of go hand in hand and intertwine, and like the things I say about one of them will sort of affect like the other two. So yeah, anyway, let's just get into it. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the characters. So the characters are like one of the first things you are going to sort of see and have to decide on when you actually start the Underground Labyrinth. As you see the map here. It is very, very different from like the Season 1 map in that it's sort of uniformed of, yeah, you can go this way is the same as going this way, right? It only diverges in certain places, like here you can see there's like a regular enemy boss battle here, or enemy battle here, and then there's like a elite battle on this side, which I guess you can get like better rewards from this one if you sort of go for that one. And there are of course some small differences. This is like a randomized chest, and then this is the shop, so you can pick and choose which path you should take, and we'll go over that in a bit. But first of all, the characters. So in the beginning, this isn't actually randomized, at least not from what I know. You can choose between these three characters, and it's always going to be these three characters. Now, I would recommend either going for Meliodas here. He has a really good AoE, and if you get like a silver or a gold card turn 1, you will be able to like 1 turn, or maybe even 2 turn in the first battle. So like going through the motions of actually resetting the Underground Labyrinth and restarting it, if you have to do that, is a lot easier if you pick these Meliodas, though it is a lot safer if you pick this Ban, because he has a few things which help him out. He heals 20% of diminished HP at the start of his turn, which is really good. He also has a lifesteal card, which at gold lifesteals 100% of the damage he deals, which pretty much is gonna fully heal him, well, almost. And he also has an extort ability, which say you're unable to like CC some enemies, you can't attack seal them, you can't freeze them or stun them or whatever the case may be, then you can just extort them, like take away some of their, like some of the damage they will be able to like inflict upon you. So that's really, really good. And of course he has a single target ult, same as Melee. His ult does, though, deplete all key orbs, which can come in handy against bosses. So honestly, I would recommend this ban, but otherwise, like, go for the Meliodas, most definitely. Now, the way you sort of build out the team is going to like depend on what sort of team you want to build out, and also sort of what sort of characters you are able to find along the path. So for example, here you can see you can either get units here, because this is the hero acquisition node, and there's also one over here. And I would actually recommend going for these two, and then perhaps even going for the shop up here, just to get like 4 units, at least 3 units, but I would recommend 4 units, just so that you can sort of get enough units to easily first turn it. But also if you have 4 units compared to 3 units, you will get like 7 cards turn 1 instead of just 6 cards, which means that you will get 1 extra cards that you can merge and sort of try to maybe get some ultimates with some units. Otherwise, like getting these passives can also be really nice, but though the passives are really random, and like a lot of the things in this Underground Labyrinth particularly are random. As you can see, there's a lot of these random boxes scattered around, especially on like floor 3. But sort of I have 2 recommendations for teams, and the first one is of course a Ultrash team, but that is sort of going to depend on what units you are able to pick up. So on this node here, you are actually able to pick up, I do believe, Red Gopher. You can pick up Green Merlin. Green Merlin is excellent for like ultrashing, of course, because she gives you 1 orb. There's also the passives that you can get later on that are going to give you 3 orbs depending on certain criteria. So either all your units have to be the same or different races, or all the units have to be the same or different colors, and then you get like 3 alt gauge orbs at the start of the battle. And if you have Merlin in the back, you get us like a 4th one. And then if you use like 1 attack with each of your units, or you like use up 1 card with each of your units, then you're of course gonna get your ults with all of your units. So it doesn't like matter if one of the bosses are able to kill one of your units. If you get those passives, you will be able to fire off 2 ults. And if you're able to like increase the levels of your ults, you will easily be able to kill the bosses, right? So that's that's like one tactic you can go for. Another tactic is just to stack up like damage increasing abilities, and I would honestly suggest like stacking up passives which will buff up. Say you have like a unit with pierce attack, then if you stack up passives which make it so that you heal more when you attack with a pierce card and you deal more damage with pierce cards, those are really good passives to go for. And this is also why I'm saying like these three sort of sections, the characters, the passives, and the pathing you take, sort of intertwine, because the characters you pick out need to sort of work with the passives you're gonna pick out, and the passives you pick out need to sort of complement the characters you already have, right? So, and as you move through the map, especially in the beginning, you should aim for these. So you can either go like right or you can go left, and then sort of go towards the middle to get this character. Of course, I do believe you can maybe get enough points. Here you get 5, there you get 10, right? If you get another like battle node here, you might be able to get enough points to be able to purchase a character from the shop right here, or at the very least over here. Although I would suggest going for this. So like the basic team, if you want to go for an Old Rush, is of course have the Merlin. Gopher is a really good unit because he can attack seal, he can rank up. Other units are that can CC that are really good is the, I do believe it's the red Jericho, or is it the blue Jericho? I'll put it up on the screen. I can't really remember. It's one of the Jerichos that is able to freeze, because she also has like a detonate card, and most of the bosses will get like full ult gauge orbs like turn 1 or 2. So her detonate card comes in handy there because she can deal a lot of damage with it. And of course she can freeze with her freeze card. Then we have the red Hellbrum, and red Hellbrum is nice because he can deplete the enemy's ult gauge orb so they won't be able to ult you, and he can also petrify enemies. So that's like a really good CC ability. If say an enemy has like 2 or 3 attacks, and you petrify that unit, of course, like that's gonna be such a benefit to you because you don't want to take a lot of damage as you're moving through the board. Other than that, like the units you can get on floor 1 and 2 aren't that great. I do believe in the shop you're all able to like pick up certain units which can really like help you out. A lot more like than the units you can get from here. Though I would suggest like just go for these rather than the shop at the beginning, and then sort of see what you can get in the shop. Always when you get to like a shop node, also check out like what passives you can buy, because sometimes you can buy really good passives. On floor 3, you at the very beginning you will be able to get like one of the best units for the Underground Labyrinth, and that is the one Escanor, and that is because of his ultimate, of course. So if you're running an Ult Rush team, I would suggest going for him. If you're not running an Ult Rush team, you should go for Traitor Meliodas in that case. I've had great success going with both of those, though the one Escanor was the only one I was able to fully beat the deeper parts of the Underground Labyrinth. So if you want to go for that, most definitely do that, but you won't get any extra rewards for actually completing that. You get like the 30 gems for just completing the first 3 floors, and then the deeper part is just sort of like prestige thing, like something you can do for yourself, I guess. So just to summarize, like the units you should go for either should help you gain ultimate gauge orbs like the Green Merlin, or that have like really strong ultimates like the one Escanor, and that is if you're going for an Ult Rush build. If you're going for like attack damage build, then of course go for other units that like hit really hard, like Traitor Meliodas, and some other units you can go for are any unit that has like a CC ability, attack, sealing, freezing, stunning, petrifying, whatever. Like Red Gopher is really great because he can both like rank up his own and other units cards, and of course attack seal the enemies. And then you have like other units that can either heal themselves or heal other units with like healing abilities. Like try to find those types of units that will help you survive. Another really great unit, and this unit works in all teams, is the Red Melascula. You can get her on floor 1. I do believe you can get her from this very first node or the second node right here, and maybe even in the shop. I can't quite remember, but you can get her in the shop, and then perhaps even on floor 2. I'm not quite sure about that. I have ran this like 8 or 9 times so far. I don't think it's been 10 times, but each time like I've been able to get like a Melascula. Of course you just reset if you don't get her within like this node or this node, because why she's so good is that if an enemy attacks you and they kill one of your units, that unit won't actually die, and they will survive until like the next phase or the next battle you like bring them into. And because they have low health, the other mobs are more likely to actually attack that unit. So she's a really great pick, but do know that say you're going for her, then you're going for Red Gopher. One of the bosses is of course going to be blue, and that unit is of course going to like deal a lot more damage to you. So, and was it the final boss, or was it the first boss that had like deal more damage to type advantage and take less damage from type disadvantage? So that, yeah, some of those units won't deal a lot of damage, but there are other ways you can work around it. But anyway, that's it for this part of the video. Let's just get into the passives. Alright, so the passives, I did touch on it a little bit in the beginning. There are of course Alt Rush passives, such as if all your units are of the same race, you will get like 3 Alt Gauge Orbs. Or if all your units are of different races, you will get 3 Alt Gauge Orbs. So another passive is like if all your units are of the same color, say red, then you will get 3 Alt Gauge Orbs at the start of the fight. Or if all your units are of different colors, so red, green, blue, dark type, light type, you know, then you will also get 3 Alt Gauge Orbs. Those are really good, like the Alt Rush passives are really good. Even if you have them and you don't have Green Merlin in the back, just being able to like merge one card with one unit and then use 2 cards from another unit will give you like 2 ultimates. So like you don't need the Merlin to get 3 ultimates, but like 2 ultimates might still be enough, you know. Other like really good passives are passives that work around like Alt Gauge Orbs. They will also like work with the Alt Rush tactic, and these passives like increase your damage based on like how many Alt Gauge Orbs you have, or increase your pierce rate depending on how many Alt Gauge Orbs you have, or crit chance or crit damage, one of those things. And I do believe like at 5 Alt Gauge Orbs they give like an additional percentage of those secondary or tertiary stats. And then again, those sort of passives work with sort of other builds you want to build out, and those builds include like, say you want to go for a crit chance build, there are passives which reduces the enemy's crit resistance and crit defense by a certain percentage based on how many units you have in your team, and those you can actually stack. So the UR card or the UR passive for that reduces the enemy's crit resistance and crit defense by 10% per unit, so that's a total of 30%. The SSR version of that decreases it by 7% per unit that you have on the field, so that's an additional 21%. If you have both of those, that's like 51% reduced crit resistance and crit defense. So not only will you be able to crit them a lot easier, you will also hit them a lot harder. So like stacking passives like that works really well. So you pick a UR passive and then you pick like the SSR passive of this very same one. That works out so well, you know. And there's other passives, like if you're going for like the being able to crit a lot easier, then of course you can go for like passives that like increases your crit damage. I do believe there's one that increases your crit damage by 100%, and that's like a UR level passive. So of course you get them from like these more difficult to defeat battles, you know, or you can find them in the shop. And these passives work really well with units who have like increased crit chance, or like units that have sever cards or whatever like the case may be, because they will most guaranteed like crit and then they will deal a lot more damage, and don't even need to like Alt Rush. With the Jericho, and especially with like those crit chance cards, with her detonate card, I was able to like 2-shot a boss. So you should most definitely also pick out units that work with those types of passives. You don't need to go like full defense, you can go like full offense, and that's gonna be just as good, because you do get to go first, and that means that you can kill like whatever mob has 2 attacks at the beginning of the battle, and maybe even like petrify or freeze or whatever the case may be, like the other units. So like a crit build is really good. Then you can also like increase your damage. There are certain passives which like for every female hero increases like the damage you deal, or was it the attack percentage of your other units by 10% or something like that. And if you have like 2 female units on your team, that's gonna like increase it by 20%, so that's really good as well. Like there are most definitely passive, but then again it is very random, so what you get might be like different run to run. That's why you sort of have to be very flexible in sort of what units you go for, and then compare to like what passives you are gonna get. So say you're focusing on, yeah, I'm gonna do a Alt Rush build, and then you sort of get the units, you get the Green Merlin and you get some other units. Like I think Green Merlin, like the Red Gopher and the Melascula are really good units to have at the beginning, as well as like one unit that can deal a lot of damage, and that works sort of with both the Alt Rush team and the like sort of crit build, the damaging passives focused builds. Then again, say you're going for the Alt Rush one and then you get like the wrong Alt Rush passive, and then you sort of have to, oh, I have to go get some more units from the shop or some other like hero acquisition nodes, and you have to like swap out some units for that to work. That's sort of the adaptability I'm talking about, as well as like, oh, now I got a really good unit that works really well with like crit damage, because it has a sever card which increases the crit chance of his attacks, so then crit damage is a lot more valuable at that point. Stuff like that. Then you might go for like, oh, then I'm gonna go for like the crit damage card that I'm seeing, or whatever the case may be. So there is some sort of adaptability, and then also like the pathing you take. So sometimes you might be like, oh, so I did get a Alt Rush passive here, but it only works when I have a team of the same colored units, and because I have like Melascula, the red Melascula, and I have Red Gopher in the front, but I do have like a green or a blue unit as like the third unit in the front, that doesn't really work. So now I'd have to go like move through the board in such a way that I actually sort of land on a hero acquisition node or a shop again that is going to sort of allow me to pick another red unit so that that passive can work. So there is also that, and with that we're sort of moving into, or we have already moved into like pathing. Now, of course, floor 1, as you've already seen here in this video, and as you've probably already seen while you've been trying to do this run, has a lot of like focus on heroes that you can get. It doesn't have a lot of focus on like passives and stuff like that. But if I had to suggest a path for you to take at the very beginning here, is to actually go for these super awakening stars or awakening stars at the beginning, because you will get 3, I believe, from landing on these. And then if you land on one that's in like these boxes, you might get 2 stars. I'm not sure, it's something like that. And if you like focus on trying to get these over getting these hero leveling nodes, you might have to go for 1 hero leveling node to be able to hit level 100. Otherwise you'll be around the level 94 to 96 range when you reach the final boss. But the most important thing is to actually get the 6-star super awakened, so you do need to land on quite a few of these to actually get that. And then also, if at all possible, try to go for at least one of those ult leveling nodes, and that is more so if you're going for like an ult rush team. If you're going for like a pure damage team, then just going for some other nodes might be a lot better, you know, like trying to get the correct passives. But generally the path I take is I go up here, I get this super awakening star, then I get this hero acquisition node, then I sort of move towards here, and of course I sort of check what's in this box or whatever, but I always land on that no matter what, because I do want to go or this hero acquisition node. Then I sort of try to move towards here. Like if there's no real good unit to pick from the shop here, I of course go for like the passive here, and then you sort of move up and you enter the first boss battle. Now the second floor, as you should be seeing on the screen right now, is a lot more focused on sort of building out the units you've already picked up. It has a lot of like nodes where you can get passives. It has a lot of like super awakening star nodes as well. You can of course acquire some heroes. You can of course resurrect some heroes if they happen to die on the first boss, or you can heal them up like as like the first node you land on. But this floor is of course sort of more focused towards like trying to get the passives for like whatever team you have already built out. Now you can of course land on like other hero acquisition nodes and stuff like that to sort of try to get some better heroes that work more well with the passives you get, but sort of that's what this floor is. And you should sort of move in a way where you always try to stay in the middle, or as close to the middle as you possibly can, because if you happen to go towards like one of the edges, then of course you can only sort of pick or occasionally only sort of pick between one node, so you always have to go in that direction. That might not be the optimal sort of node to actually land on. So, and floor 3 is the final floor, and this is like the most random floor. Here, if you haven't landed on any like leveling up nodes, then of course like getting that extra levels could be nice. Otherwise you have like a shopping cart that you can pick from at the beginning. Then you also have like 3 or is it 4 of those rows? I do believe it's 3 rows of like randomized whatever boxes that can be like any sort of hero acquisition nodes. Then again, try to go towards the middle or whatever, so that you have like a higher chance of actually choosing between 2 good ones. And then towards the end of the floor, you can sort of move towards the left hand side if you need the ult levels, or right hand side if you need the hero levels, or of course you just go grab that middle one for the final super awakening stars if that is what you're missing. But then again, it will sort of depend on what sort of nodes you get from like the random boxes. And yeah, that like this floor, just try to stick to the middle, and then you have like more choice if you want to go like a little bit more to the left or a little bit more to the right towards the end there. With the layout of the floors out of the way, as well as like what characters you should go for and what passives you should go for, now we do have to think about the bosses, and that is also sort of going to affect what characters and passives you should go for, because the bosses are of course different. So the first boss is against the Matrona. She is like immune to stun, petrify and freeze effect. You can debuff her with other debuffs, though if she is debuffed it will increase her attack by 30%, so you do have to be mindful of that, so that you don't debuff her like turn 1. Though that is also why like the green brawler Ban is really good to pick from the start, because he will sort of be able to steal some of her attack. So actually debuffing her with his snatch ability isn't like the worst, because she's not really benefiting too much. At level 2 or like a silver card of that, it sort of negates the attack increase she gets, because it's gonna reduce it by 30%. At level 3 if you can get like a gold snatch, then of course that's gonna like overall negatively really impact her stats. But even at level 1, it's gonna reduce Matrona's attack by 20%, and she will like increase her attack by 30%. So she's only getting like a 10% attack increase, which isn't that bad really. Though she is green, so if you have any blue units, those units will take a lot more damage, and she will sort of focus down any sort of units that have either less HP or are type disadvantage or type neutral over like type advantage units. So she won't really attack red units, but she will go for like your green and your blue units, and so depending on what units you have. It does hit quite hard, and you are able to like snatch her. I would though suggest like focus with attacks that perhaps deal a lot more damage, like single target damage or whatever. Don't try to petrify or stun her like as your first attacks or whatever, but then you can sort of say you have the red Helbram, you can like remove her ultimate if you're smart enough to actually do that. I don't think I did that in the clip you're watching right now, but like it doesn't really matter. If she kills you on the next floor, like you can revive a unit, so it's not the end of the world. It isn't that hard, and she does hit quite hard though, so yeah, that's Matrona. Now the boss at the end of floor 2 is of course against Red King. It does have a single target spy card and another single target ruin card and a like shatter ultimate that is AoE, I believe. Now this king, unlike the Matrona, is immune to all debuffs, which is unfortunate. Like you cannot attack disable him, you can't debuff him in any way. He also has a passive that will apply sort of a damage decrease debuff, or I do believe he applies 2 of those debuffs, which decreases your damage dealt with ultimate. So ult rushing might not be the best against him because he will deal a little bit less damage. He also has like some passives which increases his chance by a lot, but he isn't the toughest enemy either. Like he was quite easy to beat. Like it depends on what sort of units you actually do have. Of course, in the clip here that I'm showing you, I do have like a full red team, so it's type neutral, all attacks are, and of course like the ruin card deals a lot of damage, but then again he doesn't have all that much HP, and in the clip I'm like easily killing him with the detonate card from the red Jericho. So yeah, not the toughest boss. But yeah, there are some things like you need to look out for, which again is of course like if he kills one of your units or 2 of your units, on the very next floor there is a shopping cart, and I do believe you can buy a resurrection from it, so you will be able to resurrect one of your units. But then again, from that shopping cart I would honestly suggest just buying whatever unit you can buy from that, because it includes like the one Escanor, it includes Traitor Meliodas, like really good units. So rather pick out like units from that shopping cart. But then again, if a really good unit dies, then of course like revive them if you can or if you want to. Otherwise just replace them with like the one Escanor or Traitor Meliodas, and like the rest should be fine, I think. And the final boss is against Diane. So she is a blue unit, and if you have built out a team of red units, she will hit you quite hard, and that might be like the most difficult thing, because so many of like the good units are red, like the red Melascula, the red Jericho, the red Gopher. All of those units are red, but then again, if you can get like Traitor Meliodas or the one Escanor, those 2 units honestly should be able to even solo her. But yeah, she does have like a stance removal or stance disable card, and she also has like a card which decreases defense related stats, so it's a debuff card for all your units. I do believe it's an AoE one, and then she has like a AoE ultimate. Try to remove her ultimate if at all possible, or kill her before she gets her ultimate, and you should be fine. She is of course immune to all debuffs, but she will like ultra. She has a passive where if she takes damage she will gain an alt gauge orb, so there's also that. Additionally, like try to attack her with as strong attacks as possible, because for whatever attack you inflict upon her, she will have her attack related stat increased by 20%, and this stacks up to 5 times, so up to 100% attack related stats for every attack. Don't attack with like really weak attacks, just try to rank up your cards and hit with like really strong single target attacks, and that is my suggestion there. But then again, do note that she will heal for 50% of her max HP at the start of her turn if she doesn't take damage. She also deals increased damage to red units, and she takes like 90% less damage from red units, so attacking with red units is kind of bad because you will deal no damage at all, and it will sort of increase her attack. But then again, it doesn't really matter. It's like this whole underground labyrinth isn't the hardest one, and as you can see from the clip, like just a gold card with Traitor Melee, or 2 gold cards I guess, and she's like dead. But well, almost, I do believe. I can't quite remember like what the clip was. I recorded it a few days ago, but you should see it playing on loop. But yeah, like with that, you should be able to like defeat her. If you don't defeat her, I do believe like the retry cost is either like 40 or 50 of whatever that currency is that you can get from this underground labyrinth, the stones. So you should be able to have like 1 or 2 tries against her. Like try the different tactics. If it all fails, like just reset of course and try again, which sucks because this does take quite a long time, like 30-40 minutes maybe. But yeah, hopefully with whatever tips and tricks I told you here today, you will be able to beat it, and yeah, I believe in you. You can do this. So once you defeated the end, you will be able to go down into the deeper parts of the underground labyrinth, and here you will first be able to heal yourself, and then you sort of start facing a series of different mobs. And between like every 4 or 5 mobs you face, you will be able to heal yourself again. But then again, I was only able to beat this by alt rushing, and the enemies have like debuff immunity. So just like if you have Escanor, just rank up Escanor and start slapping some mobs. Most mobs do have like single target attacks, and they will focus whatever unit is type disadvantage against them. So against the first copper demon boss or mob or whatever you want to call him, he sort of focuses down Escanor. With if you have Melascula, doesn't matter because Escanor will just be able to kill the copper demon quite easily. And the copper demon does sort of apply a alt seal, which doesn't really matter again if you have Melascula, because Melascula makes it so that Escanor will be immune for 3 turns, and the alt seal will go away once Escanor is able to use his ult again. So yeah, you can just use your ult, kill the mob, and yeah, that's gonna be that. It's not that difficult if you're going for that particular tactic. And like most mobs or most bosses are like that. I don't think most have like a alt seal ability. I think it might just be the first one, but most have like single target attacks, so they focus 1 unit. Some of them have like AoE attacks, and I do believe like the final boss does have an AoE attack as well. You should be seeing some clips as I'm speaking here right now of like me defeating some of the mobs. But like the final mob, he was the only one I actually failed on and had to like reset. It is against Fafnir's spirit, so he hits quite hard, and he does have an AoE attack, and he does also have like a revive where he revives with 50% HP. Like you will be able to defeat him, maybe, like if you're lucky. I was able to defeat him on my 2nd try. But yeah, like the deeper parts, like you don't get any like rewards from it. It's just a little bit of prestige, but I just wanted to show like at least the final fight where you actually do beat him and clear the underground labyrinth. Just try to get like as strong Escanor attacks as you possibly can. Maybe save the punch for when you actually die. The other one is the flood card, so you will be able to deal more damage if you have like more health, and if you die you have 0 health, so it won't really deal that much damage. And then of course, if you're able to be like lucky and get enough like mergers as I got in this video for the 2nd try, you can sort of heal back a little bit with Escanor, and then perhaps even hit hard enough to kill the boss. So yeah, that's the video. That's the underground labyrinth. And that was the deeper part of the underground labyrinth. But yeah, anyway, that's it for me. Hope you found this guide helpful, and if you did, do consider leaving a like. But with that, thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I guess I catch you in the next one. Bye.